Hey, my name is Gaia Athena and today I'm bringing you a book review of In an Absent Dream by Seanan McGuire. This book is book 4 in the Wayward Children series, though I think you can read it as a standalone. The books in this series are not, like, you don't have to read them in a specific order necessarily. Some of them yes, some of them no. Anyway, I'll tell you about the other books in the series. So the series consists of Every Heart a Doorway, book 1. Down Among the Sticks and Bones is book 2, but this is actually a prequel to book 1. Then we have Beneath the Sugar Sky, which is book 3, but it takes place after book 1. And then we have In an Absent Dream, which is book 4, but it takes place before book 1. If you've seen my favourite books in 2018 video, then you know that I read these 3 books in 2018 and I absolutely loved them. So I recently picked up this book, but I was saving it a little while because I was really excited about it, and I know, you know, it's probably gonna be a little while before we get another one, so I saved it up for a time when I was really, I don't know, when I was really in the mood. This series is about, like, there's portals to all sorts of different worlds, and a child goes to, like, a world that is specifically suited to them. The main character in this book, a portal opens for her and she walks through it, and she comes in the goblin market. And in the goblin market there are several rules. Everybody has to give fair value. And so this world is very much based on logic and rules. And I thought it was a really interesting world. One thing I really like about this series, other than that it's really, like, magical and wonderful, which are also things I really like. The series as a whole, they have some diversity. They discuss things like gender norms, so to speak. And yeah, that's just an element that I personally like. I really liked this world. I liked our main character. Her name is Lundy? I think that's how you pronounce it. I am quite tired today, so I apologise if this review is maybe not the greatest. I just really love this book, and I think if you liked the other 3 books in the series, I think you will like this one as well. I think you could technically start with this book. I would personally start at the beginning, but I love all the books, but you could read this book on its own, as well as you could read this book on its own. That's the other prequel. But yeah, I really love this series, and I am happy to read any more books that come out in this series. I will say the books are quite short. This one was 204 pages, which is actually, I think, slightly longer than some of the other ones. This book is slightly longer than some of the other ones. The other ones are a bit like around 170, 160 pages. So they're relatively short in comparison to, let's say, the average novel. And I guess if I had to really, like, give a negative to the books, I would say I wanted them to be longer. I mean, the story was perfect just as it was, but I also wouldn't have minded more of it, because I really like, I don't know the right order now, because I really like this series. There were some, like, twists in here, and I found it really interesting. I enjoyed the writing style. I do wish there had been, I guess, a little bit more. Well, let me put it this way, that these 2 books had quite a bit of diversity in them, with, like, different characters, and this book, the second book, really discussed gender norms, and it had like 2 sort of main characters, whereas this book had 1 main character. And so there wasn't, diversity didn't seem to be as much in it, because it was mainly about, like, the main character and a couple of other characters. And so that was maybe an element that the other books had that I felt was less strong in this book, I guess, if you had to put that back. But I really enjoyed reading this book, and I can understand, though, if people are reluctant to pick this up, because the books are not that long, and they, at least in my shop that I buy books in, they are somewhat regularly priced versus like, let's say, books that are a bit bigger, but that are also books. So in that sense, I guess it is that's good value for money that you don't take as long to read these, and that might be a reason why you're hesitant to pick them up. I could understand that. If you can find them at a bargain price, then absolutely. I definitely don't regret getting these myself because I really love this series, and so I'm happy to, you know, have the books and read them, and I think it's worth it. But I can understand if, you know, if you're being reluctant or something. I find that this series is, I'm not sure if because it's kind of mirrored the screen and everything. I'm not sure how to hold them up in the right order. This series is quite magical, and it's not really like anything else I've read. I mean, there are other portal fantasy series for younger audiences, but I feel this series is quite unique and not something that, yeah, I don't really know of anything else that is sort of comparable. I mean, I think the most famous portal fantasy is Narnia, at least for me. I have read the books of Narnia when I was a kid. I had them, my library had the Dutch translations, and I remember they had like, I think, blue covers and orange spines or something like that. And my strongest memory of that is that I remember I was rereading one of the books, or multiple of the books, and I took them with me on holiday, and I'm pretty sure that was a reread, and then I got sick in the car. I got car sick while I was reading the book. I mean, the book is fine, I just started feeling nauseated. So that is kind of my, I can't help but think of that memory. I have them now in English. I have an omnibus edition. I plan to read them at some point. But anyway, in my memory, this is not the same as Narnia. It's just they're both portal fantasies, but otherwise I find they're quite different. I don't think I've read a whole lot of portal fantasy, but then I might have read something and not realised it's portal fantasy. Anyway, this review, we don't need to talk about this long. I love this book. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I thought I would enjoy it because I really liked the first 3 books, so yeah. I do think it will be nice to reread the series as well at some point. So when I bought the first 2 books and read them pretty close together, and then waited for the release. Sorry, for the 3rd book. I think that was beginning of last year. I think this came out like beginning of last year, I think. And then now I waited for this book and I got it, and I had to wait for a while for it to deliver to my doorstep, and then I waited a while because I was doing like Blackathon and some other, I was doing Contemporary-a-thon, and so I wanted to wait till like a good moment to read it, and so I read it over the past 2 days. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about this. I am very tired right now, so I apologise if this review wasn't quite what you had wanted. If it isn't, I suggest there are other channels who have reviewed this book. I have watched some book reviews of this book, or channels that have included this in their monthly wrap-up, so feel free to check out another channel. And I look forward to read more books in this series. I think there are going to be some more, so I look forward to that. Thank you very much for watching this review, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!